Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you are new to these channels, I welcome you. I am Virginie, interior designer, and I deal with houses that represent 100% who lives them, from consulting to the entire renovation process. I also help foreigners who want to buy and renovate in Italy to support them all the process long, difficult otherwise to follow from a distance. In this channel, I will talk about home and renovation, trying to give you helpful tips so that you can have your dream house, a house that represents you genuinely and where you will always feel at your ease. I made videos from a few months now talking about the word of restructuring. I insisted on the importance of the project. I talked about many meshes you can encounter. I gave you information on how to choose the right constructor. I explained why it is crucial to choose the technician, architect or surveyor first. But I realize, however, that I have not explained to you the reason for my presence. I told you who I am and also why, as a simple interior designer, I decided to take care of the entire restructuring process. But if I put myself in your shoes for a moment, I imagine that from all the material you heard, you might have this thought. Okay, Virginie, I realize that I must choose an architect or surveyor first, with him to do a project that includes the furniture, so choose the most suitable constructor for those jobs. But what do you have to do with all this? It's absolutely understandable that you ask yourself this question. Actually, I apologize for not having explained it to you before. I'll do it now. But before we get started, if you love everything related to the topic of home and renovation, remember to subscribe to my channel for more information on this subject. So let's see now together why it's better to have a figure like mine next to you during your renovation. Let's see why the architect or surveyor and constructor are not enough so that you can live it to the fullest. We have seen that the first step to do is to choose an architect or surveyor who will do an in-depth analysis of the house and your desires to make a detailed and tailor-made project. Now, unless you don't move and therefore already have everything you need, it is easy that you have to take care of the furniture research. And I showed you how important it is to think about this aspect in the design phase for better functionality of the environment. However, the most surveyors and architects are unlikely to deal with the furnishing part. Very few of them do it. And many know how to look at the aesthetic aspect, but not the functional one. Furthermore, he will be busy making the project, and then he will have to take care of all the bureaucratic parts, which, believe me, is substantial. He will not have time to go around to see what are the best solutions for you. Of course, you could do it yourself, but unless you are free or have the possibility of a long holiday period, your time is limited to the weekend or depending on the shift you may have. And if you live abroad, it's even worse. This lengthens the timing. In fact, to do a detailed project, the surveyor needs the size of the furniture you want. And without the project, you can't start the works. Here then, that a figure like mine coming into play shortens these times because after an in-depth interview about your tastes, I can go in search of the right things. It's not that I decide for you, of course, but I do a search and selection. Then we make the choice together. But you will agree with me that if I have already schemed and then together we make the final decision, the times are getting shorter. As for the construction company, the question is very similar. obviously they cannot follow you everywhere. They are workers and they are always on the construction site. Then we saw that you should choose the constructor or the artisans based on the work indicated by the project, to have a very qualified and specialized workforce in that type of installation. So as far as materials are concerned, there are two cases. You rely on the offers of the constructors, which means not including them in the project, and above all having a limited choice and no idea of their true value. You look for the materials going around the different places. But here comes the same problem you have for the furniture. Getting around takes time, and this will delay the start of the works. Now you might think, but why does it have to delay works? If the furniture is essential to make the project, which changes the type of tile or the sanitary ware on the project? I'll tell you right now. It is relevant at least for 3 reasons. There are various types of materials. There are not only tiles, but you may also fall in love with parquet or resin or something like that. Among other things, even tiles can have different thicknesses and therefore require different manufacture. Among the materials, you must also think about the doors. Do you want a swing door, internal sliding or external sliding doors? Finally, if they are suspended, sanitary fittings require more attention. Each material has different processing, and as mentioned before, it is necessary to know it to choose a workforce highly specialized and to be able to have a correct estimate. If they know exactly what they have to do, it's easier to make a price. Second, if you don't buy the materials from the constructor, you will have to think about transport and delivery. It is unlikely that they will take care of it. The company where you buy the materials will do the transport, but when they deliver, there must be someone present. The constructor may be available, given that he is on the construction site, but it's not mandatory. Not only that, you will have to try to organize the day of the delivery correctly, so that the material doesn't arrive at the site too long before, because it could be an hindrance, but not too late either, because otherwise you will stop the work. 3. Besides, you should choose materials and furniture together, so that they are in harmony. They must talk to each other for a good result. If you choose and buy the furniture to do the project and only after go to choose the materials, you will have the limitation given by the styles and the colors of the furniture. But if you fall in love with a kind of tile that has nothing to do with the color of the furniture, and maybe vice versa, how do you do it? The research, the study, and the choice of materials and furniture to put in the project takes time. Given that you should choose the constructor after studying a detailed project, and given that architect and surveyor are unlikely to do it, and in any case are involved in drafting the first part of the project and the bureaucratic parts, here that I can help you. As an interior designer, once I understand your tastes and your needs, I will know where to go and find everything you need, and I will include it in the project with the architect or surveyor. I will be present at all deliveries and also at the furniture assembly. How does it sound? One less hassle? Finally, I will be your interlocutor. The constructor or the artisans will be busy working in your home. The architect or surveyor will have to take into account the building site, the security, and the bureaucracy. Of course, they will keep you updated, but how much? I will be your eyes and your ears, and I will always be in touch with you. Do you understand why it's important a figure like mine? If you want to understand more, don't hesitate to contact me. Did you like the video? Let me know with a like or a comment. And if you haven't done yet, subscribe to my channel. also turning the notification bell to not miss the upcoming content. See you soon. Bye!